Chapter 2 Continue. Gaston? Lumiere echoed, a puzzled expression on his golden face. The village show-off, Belle replied, shaking her head at the memory of the handsome, preening braggart who had practically demanded that she marry him, then nearly fallen over backward when she had said no. Reading became my sanctuary, Belle continued. I found so much in those books. I found histories that inspired me, poems that delighted me, novels that challenged me. Belle paused, suddenly self-conscious. She looked down at her hands and, in a wistful voice, said, What I really found, though, was myself. Cogsworth, so full of complaints only moments ago, stepped forward and took Belle's hand. And you will find yourself again, child, in this library, if I have any say about it, he declared, thrusting his chest out. Belle looked at him, surprised by the fervor in his voice. You have awoken this old soldier's material spirit. We shall take back the library from the spiders and the mice. Once more unto the breach, dear friends. Never let it be said that Colonel Cogsworth of the 4th Hussars backed down from the fight. He swiped the rag from the half-dozen oars so draped over Lumiere's arm and marched off, head held high, to do battle with the filthy windows. Colonial, is it now? Lumiere remarked. Last week it was captain, and the week before a lieutenant. He'll promote himself to the brigadier general before long. He turned to Plumette. Shall we, Cherry? Plumette gave him a flirtatious smile, and together they attacked the dark corners with Lumiere shining his candlelight over them and Plumette sweeping them clean. Miss Pott joined Cogsworth at the windows. As she blew steam on the panes, Cogsworth rubbed the dirt away, his small brass mass working furiously. Even Frou-Frou and Chip helped. At Chip's request, Cogsworth tied the rags to the footstool 4 feet, and the two raced off again, dusting the floorboards as they craned around the room. As Belle watched them all, a lump rose in her throat. They were so good to her, so kind. They wanted to help her, to make her happy, to be her friends. And then there was Beast. A storm of conflicting emotions swept through her as she thought of him. He was the reason she was a captive in this dark, remote castle. He was also the reason she was standing in this incredible library. The Beast wasn't like the others, Miss Potts, Lumiere, Plumette. They were warm and funny, cheerful, boisterous. He was difficult, gruff, enigmatic, reclusive, and yet, in his own strange way, he wanted to make her happy. He had proven that last night. When Belle thought of what he'd done, it was unbelievable, impossible. Even now it made her heart race. Anyone else would have allowed her glimpse of her collection, owned her a precious book or two, but the Beast Belle was learning was not anyone else. She drank her mop in her bucket now, squeezed it out, and started to clean its earnest. Like the Beast, she couldn't read, work, or do much of anything in the midst of the mess. Belle didn't care if she finished at midnight. She didn't care if her muscles ached, her back groaned, and her legs wobbled from running up and down the stairs with a bucket of water. She thought only about the happiness that awaited her once she finished her task. For last night, the Beast has given her an unexpected present, a gift more valuable to her than his castle, and all his lands, one more precious than jewels or golds. Last night, the Beast has given her his books. Chapter 3. It had happened at dusk. Belle remembered it so clearly. I have a surprise for you, the Beast had said, in his usual brisk tone. Belle had just come in from feeding her horse, Philip, and was standing by the kitchen's back door, shaking snow from her cloak. She had taken one look at him, at the scowl on his face and his clenched paws, at his awkward stance, and said, No, thank you. The Beast has blinked, taken back by her refusal. His scowl had deepened. I said I have a surprise for you, and I heard you, Belle had replied, but I've had enough surprises to last me a lifetime, including cold, dark cells, pack of wolves, and tantrums. Tantrums? The beast had spurtled. I can't believe, how can you say? That wasn't a tantrum, and it wasn't my fault. I told you not to go to the West Wing. I told you. Belle had given him a sidelong look. You're right. What was I thinking? You'd never throw a tantrum. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to hang up my clock. Things had been strained between the beast and Belle ever since she'd gone to the West Wing in search of answers. A single rose had made her a captive, and she wanted to know why. When she asked the servants, all she got were evasive replies. From the beast, she got nothing at all. Fine, she thought. If no one will give me any answers, I'll find them myself. The West Wing was the beast's private domain. He had forbidden Belle to venture there, and such a stern comment, issued by such an imposing creature, would have been enough to frighten most people into unquestioning obedience. But Belle was not most people. She questioned everyone and was obedient to only one thing, her heart. It had been dark in the beast's chambers, but Belle's eyes had soon adjusted. As she moved through the once beautiful rooms, she had seen that all of the fine furniture they contained had been broken, the costly bed hangings shredded, the gilt mirrors smashed. The beast did this, she'd whispered. She'd witnessed his anger and knew he was more than capable of upending a table or flinging a chair across the room. Her eyes told her that the terrible destruction was born of this anger. Her heart, however, saw a deeper cause despair, and it ached for him. Belle continued to walk through the beast's room, riding furniture and nudging shards of glass into the pile with her foot, looking for her answer. Here I am living in a remote castle in a forest where it's always winter, she'd brought. I talk to clocks, jokes with candlesticks, play fetch with a barking footstool. That's what I do now. This is my life. There has to be a reason things are the way they are here. If only I can find out what it is. Ruined paintings hung on the wall, among them a portrait of the family. A man with a cold, imperious bearing, a woman with a warm smile and intelligent blue eyes, and a small boy who looked just like the woman. Another portrait showed a handsome young man, blue-eyed just like the boy. At least Belle thought it showed a man. The portrait had been slashed so badly, the subject's eyes were almost all that remained. Who are you? Belle had whispered. But the painted face had kept their silence. With a defeated sigh, she turned to go, no wiser than she had been when she'd entered the beast's chambers. And then she'd seen it, a single red rose. It was floating upright on the table, shattered by a delicate glass clutch. Its head was dripping and several of its petals had fallen to the table. Belle had walked over into it, bent down and peered through the clutch. As she'd watched, another petal dropped. Mesmerized, she lifted the glass to get a better look at the flower. That's when the beast had discovered her. What are you doing here? What did you do it? The beast roared. Nothing, Belle responded. Do you realize what you could do? You could have damned us all. Get out. Go, he raged, covering the rose with his form, upsetting Belle so badly that she'd fled from the beast, the West Wing, and the castle. She'd run to the stable to throw in a deadly envelope and galloped off the tables at breakneck speed. Through the woods they sped straight into the packs of wolves. The vicious animals would have killed her if not for the beast. She tried to fight them off herself, but there were too many, just when she was certain they'd tear up apart. The beast has come charging out of the wood and driven them away, but not before they'd wounded him badly.